You've sold out the Fortitude Valley Music Hall. How many of these tickets did you have to buy yourself?
Well, Chris, our drummer, he's from Brisbane, and so I think we kind of leave the ticket buyouts up to him. That's his scene. I don't know anyone in Queensland or Brisbane for that matter, so there's no point in me buying any.
No, fair, fair. What this tour is shaping up to be absolutely fantastic, man. Look, go back to your let's just kind of wind back the clock because Grinspoon have been around. You were one of the first bands I ever saw live. It was at the Gone South Festival in 2002, and
In Tassie.
yes, and I got knocked clean the fuck out by a crowd surfer halfway through your first song.
I remember
Uh,
that festival. It was She Had, and who else was on it? People like Alex Lloyd, I think. I remember that one.
yeah, yeah. So that was I think the very first one. This was the one down in Hobart, so I believe it was the second. But yeah, Silverchair were going to headline and they pulled out because Daniel got sick, and it was
And
a
then we headlined.
you headlined the first one, I believe, or was that Silverchair? Who knows? God, I would have been 16. But yeah, I have seen you pretty consistently over the years. And you should be very flattered because I have excellent music taste. Uh,
All right.
but but yeah, that era of easy and need detention. Like what are some of the kind of standout memories of that period for the band?
Well, Easy, we kind of recorded when we got back from a long tour of trying to kind of crack America. You know what I mean? Like we spent basically a couple of years doing that, signed to Universal over there, and we came back with a bunch of songs that we kind of written on the road and stuff. And there was a reasonable amount of pressure. You know what I mean? That's kind of why we called it Easy. It was almost like a tongue-in-cheek uh, thing because we'd obviously the success of Guide to Better Living was pretty surprising. You know what I mean? No one really expected. No, I mean we had a feeling we'd worked really hard to build up an audience and to make an album that we hoped our audience would like. But we of the us and the record company obviously at the time didn't expect things to go so great. So when we went in to do our second album, there was a reasonable amount of pressure on there. I think in a lot of ways, Easy's probably one of the band's favourite records. I think that it had, I reckon it's got some great songs on there. It's very different to Guide to Better Living, but that was kind of the plan, I guess. We didn't really want to be doing the same thing over and over again.
Hmm.
We did that with Jonathan Burnside, and it was a roundly pretty good experience. You know what I mean? First time I'd ever used Pro Tools. Like, well, there was all this kind of new technology coming through for recording music, which was interesting. We bounced around a few different studios. We did, Albert's AC/DC studio in Sydney. We recorded down at Sing Sing in Melbourne. There was a lot of shuffling around, and all those kind of things that we did made up for the experience of making the album and working with obviously Jonathan Burnside, who at the time we were pretty excited to be working with. He'd just moved here from America and he'd done a lot of really great work over there. With New Detention, we just really decided to go back to our roots a lot of ways. We used the same producer that we'd used on Guide to Better Living, Phil McKellar. We recorded it close to home. We're actually at Mangrove Mountain Studios, which is still there, the Grove, I think it's called now. And we had a lot of material. The record company, after the success of the Guide to Better Living and the not still, I mean, we still got I think we got a platinum record for it. You know what I mean? And back in the days when people would buy CDs, there was no streaming, so that's pretty good going.
Hmm.
But for our lofty standards, it probably wasn't quite where the people around us wanted us to be. So with New Detention, we got sent to do a lot of demoing, to write a lot of songs. I think there was something like 50 songs, and in the end, we demoed pretty much everything we thought we'd had, and then they asked myself and Phil to go and write some more songs, and it was kind of the last ditched attempt to get more material for this album. And out of that session, I think we got Chemical Heart, New Detention, and one other single, I'm pretty sure. And then the recording was really good because we had so much material to draw from, you know what I mean? We thought we had a good bunch of songs in our pocket. And there you go. It ended up actually being our biggest selling record. That record sold more than, I think it probably sold more than Guide to Better Living and Easy combined.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's yeah.
What was the go? I believe the from memory the album art changed. It got reissued with new album art.
Well, that was the record company Boo Boo. Phil would probably be able to, because he did that artwork. He'd probably be able to describe better. I think what happened was we licensed that photo from a photographer of the chairs, and they licensed it for 50,000 prints. Well, we sold 80,000 copies or 90,000 copies of Easy, so they thought, well, they'll probably only sell 50,000 copies of this one. And then we ended up selling like 300,000 of them. So we had to, after $50,000, the photographer wouldn't license us the photo anymore. And so we had to go in and do a photo shoot with us looking cool on the front cover of the record. But for the album art, like we're releasing obviously the New Detention on vinyl for the first time for the tour. And we managed to get that artwork again. So all thus forward releases, I think of CD and vinyl, will have that original artwork. But so, I mean, they're not rare, I would say, but there's still probably 50,000 of them floating around somewhere
Yeah.
of the original ones, but a lot more of the other ones.
One of I think the best songs to come out of that period, and I don't think I'm alone in saying this, is Thousand Miles. Just that riff, like it is ultimate, Grinspoon, just burnout music. What kind
Yeah,
of,
that's right.
was there anything in particular that inspired it?
I didn't write that song. Gee whiz,
No.
you are asking the wrong guy some wrong questions this morning.
Wow.
No, I think that was a Phil Jamison composition, actually. I think that he just wanted to have banjo on a song. That's probably why he wanted to do it. Yeah. I don't think I was even involved in the demoing of that record. I think I might have been away somewhere, because I know that the boys went into a studio in Glebe and demoed that song in its original form. And I don't believe that I was even there. I've definitely played it on the record, but
Yeah, yeah.
the actual writings of the song. But we like to have songs like that on our albums. You
Mm.
know what I mean? There's got to be a balls to the wall kind of fast rocker. You know what I mean? I don't think there'd be a Grinspoon album without one of those. You know what I mean? There was
Yeah.
NBT on Guide to Better Living, and yeah, I mean they're part of our musical makeup, really, aren't they? I think our fans would be seriously disappointed if we didn't have one on every record.
I feel like because it was such a part of my, the first couple of, I think the first three concerts I ever went to, you played at two of them. The first was Gone South, and then I saw you in Launceston on touring New Detention. And there's just something, and it was great getting to revisit it at Spring Loaded. There is just something about a Grinspoon pit that just smells like BO, deer breath, marijuana smoke.
Yeah,
It's just,
that's right. Well, it'll be interesting to see on this tour. Like, I think the average age of our fans is probably now around 45. So let's see how they go on the Easy New Attention tour. But I mean, they're both pretty rocking records, you know what I mean? So it'll obviously be quite a high intensity show. And yeah, so let's see how they go. See if I can watch some 45-year-old, naked men crowd surfing, maybe. It could be it.
I got I took a fantastic video of the Frenzel Rom mosh pit at the first Spring Loaded, and I sent it to people. I was like, behold, middle-aged mosh pits. And it's amazing because they've all got grey hair, and they'll go really hard for about 45 seconds, and then they'll stand there for 3 minutes going,
We've actually found on the last, I mean, we've only done a couple of tours since our big break, you know what I mean? Not including package festival kind of tours, which we've done quite a lot of. We did Guide to Better Living, and then we did the Chemical Hearts tour, which was just a little bit of a best of kind of thing. And we found that we had a really mixed age group in our audiences. We found like a good kind of analogy would be the guy or the girl who was the apprentice electrician or carpenter or whatever, now owns the business, now buys tickets for all their apprentices, brings them all along, but it makes them all buys them all a t-shirt or whatever. And a lot of times, like it's weird, like families with older kids, like the parents have obviously played the music to their kids and they're there. I remember looking at it, I'm like, oh, she's pretty young to be at a Grinspoon show. And then the mum and dad are there as well. So it's a real mixed bag these days. It's not just our old fans. There are definitely some new fans involved in the whole thing as well.
was it kind of weird as you got older? then and all of a sudden, Grinspoon starts getting played on Triple M and things like that, and you'll start going,
Mm.
Jesus, what happened there?
Well, that was really new detention that kind of crossed us over into that world. I don't know. Like I mean, I don't live in Sydney anymore, or I don't live in a capital city anymore, so I don't hear rock radio as much as I do. But often I get texts from my friends telling them we're still getting some plays. But definitely the first time we kind of crossed over to commercial radio was good for us. But the numbers don't lie when you look at that album. You know what I mean? And that kind of crossover pitch and my huge mansion that I live in. That's a joke. There's nothing wrong with buying into a bit of commercial radio, that's for sure.
Now, speaking of kind of diversifying, you wrote a kids album. Well, correction, you wrote a kids
Oh, you
book,
wrote a kids album? I did.
and then you turned it into an
Yeah.
album. Back
Oh
in
no, I actually wrote the album first. I wrote the album first. I wrote a bunch of kids songs, having a young family. You know what I mean? It's just so many guys in bands do it. You know what I mean? I definitely wasn't the first, and I definitely won't be the last. But I was, living in Byron at the time, and I was friends with people like Pete Murray and there's Pete Washington, and all these people that I kind of said, "Do you want to come and sing on my kids' record?" And they were like, "Yeah, cool." And so we went into I took it to the ABC, and they were like, "Great, let's do it." And so we went in, we recorded it at the ABC, and we had a lot of fun making it. And then, I met a guy, actually, Martin Chatterton, who was like an illustrator. And he lived kind of close to me, and we had lots of mutual friends. He played soccer with a lot of friends that I did. He's an Englishman. And he was just like, "Yeah, I'll do some designs up for you." And I loved them. And so we made it into a book. It was a fun project. I still got like a check for $23 every 3 months for the sale of my album and book, which I'm very happy about. So yeah,
Oh,
win-win.
was that did you ever hear an album called Rewiggled back in the day, and it was all the Australian rock bands doing
Yes,
Wiggles covers?
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, I do. I do remember that.
Granted, I know you kids have probably grown up, but or or at least aged out of that particular demographic. But would you ever rule out working with someone like the Wiggles?
Rule it out? No way.
Yeah.
It'd be an honour. Why you got an inside track, I hear? Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I know Murray pretty well from around the traps. You know what I mean? Yeah, why not? I think you'd be mad if you got the opportunity to work with those guys. They're iconic, aren't they?
Yeah. I became one of the coolest things about this little side hustle is that I actually became friends with Anthony Field. And
Well, there you
yeah, he's just the maddest dude in the world. I absolutely love him to bits.
go.
Um, let's do a hard one. Look, gun to your head, what do you think is Grinspoon's finest hour and why?
Yet to come, because I think we've still got a lot of music left in us.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
It's not a
I know
very
it's a short
clickbaity
one,
answer. You're killing me.
No, I know. Sorry, mate. Yes, it is. Grinspoon's finest hour yet to come. People
Fair.
would click
Okay.
on that, wouldn't they?
I like. Yeah,
Yeah.
look for a little dot 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 afterwards. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of, what plans does Grinspoon have to make new music?
We definitely have plans to make some new music. I think that the stars will have to align. We do have we're a modern bunch of guys. We've got like a Dropbox folder that we share. If anyone's got any ideas, they kind of throw them in there. It would be a matter of going and trawling through and seeing if anyone would be interested in hearing any new music from Grinspoon. It might be a case of us just doing it for ourselves because we want to do it, or it might be a case because we believe that people really want to hear new music from us. It's a decision that's not just the bands in a lot of ways. Like we do everything we do to keep creating and writing for the band and things like that. I think the stars would have to align, but never say never. The best is possibly yet to come. ...
Yeah. I see what you did there. Well, yeah, I mean, surely the response that you guys get from, headlining spring loadeds and stuff like that would tell you that, shit, there's still an audience.
Yeah, there's definitely a nostalgia element in all of that, though. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, would you be interested in listening to new Grinspoon music?
Of course. Hugely.
Oh, good. Okay, we'll do an album. We'll do another album
Excellent.
then. Sold.
You're welcome, everyone. Yeah, man. And it's funny. Like I remember, I heard the first time I heard Black Tattoo on a was on a plane, and I remember, when it first came out, and just thinking, holy shit, I love this band. Like there is something very quintessentially, I think, Australian about you guys, and I don't know if that's just because, but purely by virtue of the fact that you come from Australia, or if there's
Yeah,
just something
osmosis
in it.
maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but no, man, it would be absolutely fantastic. So, no, I would absolutely love that. Anyway,
All right.
Pat, thank you very much for your time today, dude. I'll let you go.
Thanks for having me, mate. I appreciate it, Tom.
No worries. And
All right.
yes, I will be the big 6'7" dude in the mix at Fortitude Valley Music Hall. So hopefully no more crowd surfers come over and cut the set short.
Yeah.
Because I remember the
So
first time.
you're still in Tassie, obviously.
No, so I live in Brisbane. I've
Okay.
been up here for since about 10 years now.
Okay.
So yes, yeah, man, Fortitude Valley Music Hall. I will be there with bells on.
Awesome.
So, all
I'll
right,
look
mate.
out for you, Tom.
No
Cheers,
worries.
brother.
Have a great day.
See you, mate.